Before I start this video, I just want to say that I'm going to be releasing a lot more videos this week. I'm going to be releasing a Zoe's interaction video, and I'm also going to be releasing a Electrocute versus Dark Harvest video. So, stay in tune. Alright, so again, these are my runes just in case you didn't get that. My movement speed rune page, my one-shot rune page, and my Bruiser page. Okay, so before I explain the actual runes, I'm just gonna say that for any champion in general, you probably want the main rune page. I'm gonna call this the main rune page. This is gonna be called the secondary page. You want your main page to have either 3 or 4 really good runes that would work with the champion you're playing. So for Shaco, probably the best tree for him would be Domination. One of my subscribers keeps telling me that Phase Rush is really good. So maybe Sorcery also could be good on Shaco. And definitely Sorcery if you're building AP Shaco. Or even Domination is good for AP Shaco. But onto runes. Oh yeah, so I forgot. Secondary, you probably want, since you only have to do 2 slots, it's a little bit more open. You only need 2 really good runes to put on your secondary, or even meh runes, because most of the time it's just gonna be meh. So, yeah. Alright, so now I'm gonna go over all the runes. So press attack, attacking the enemy champion with 3 consecutive basic attacks, deal bonus damage. I'm gonna take this off because makes them vulnerable. Hitting. Alright, so this is basically Thunderlords, but it doesn't do as much damage as the Electrocute. This is okay, but if you're gonna get this, you might, unless you really want to go for the other runes, this is not that great. Lethality tempo, 1.5 seconds after damaging a champion, gain a large amount of attack speed. This, I don't see this being that great on Shaco because most of the time you're not going to be connected to a champion for that long of a time. So you're never going to really use the attack speed to the fullest. And even if you're able to proc this, if you're trying to kill the AD carry, they can easily just kind of run away, or they can get a little bit of peel to get you off, and it's just, I feel like it's a waste. Fleetfoot, I actually like this rune because it gives you the extra movement speed on your first attack. So out of all these 3, I think I like Footwork the best, but again, it's not that great, but it's viable. So on to the next tier. Overheal, excessive healing on you becomes a shield. Most of the time at Shaco, you're not going to get any healing, so it is basically useless. Triumph. Takedowns restore 15% of your health. This is just like the danger. I don't know, I forgot the name of it in season 7, but this is very similar to another rune, and this is very useful if you're going like Bruiser Shaco. I like this rune a lot, and it gives you the extra 25 gold, so it's really, I think it's pretty good. Oh, let me just choose this, like, say if we're gonna make precision our main rune page. So of all the, let's go to the next one. Presence of Mind. For 5 seconds after gaining a level or takedown, any mana you spend is fully restored. So gaining a level, I think that could be useful, because if you're clearing the jungle, you gain that mana back, but that mana isn't really useful because most of the time in the early game, the 1 blue buff that you get at the 2-minute mark is going to be enough to until when you're not dependent on the blue buff anymore. So this is not really that useful. So of these 3, I'd say that Triumph would be probably the best, and these Overheal and Presence of the Mind aren't that great, so it's not even worth getting either of them. Maybe Presence of the Mind if you're like getting a lot of takedowns and juggernauting everyone, but again, Triumph is just better because the missing health will take you a long way. So for next tier, Legend Alacrity, whatever. Takedowns on gain attack speed. So attack speed is really important on Shaco. This is really good for clearing, but the thing is you need to get takedowns on it. So this is more of a late game rune. Most of the time you're gonna have full stacks in the midish game. So it's really a mid game rune, and I like it a lot. So this is a really good rune. I think it's a really good rune. Takedown. So now takedowns give us tendency. Tenacity. Takedowns give us tenacity. I think feel like this is kind of similar to, well, it basically is another Boots of Swiftness. You really don't need the tenacity as Shaco unless like you're trying to outplay the enemy with your runes. Like if they have like a lot of CC, then maybe you want this, but most of the time it's not. I don't think it's gonna make a. Let's see what the percentage is right now. So about 10% tenacity. I don't think it makes big enough impact to actually matter. I think the attack speed would be a lot better than the tenacity, unless you're going like a tank on Shaco. Attack speed just be better. Lifesteal, takedowns gain lifesteal. Lifesteal is also not a useful stat on Shaco unless you're going like 80 carry Shaco where you're in a very low elo. Not that useful. Again, lifesteal and tenacity aren't a useful stat on Shaco just because of how Shaco works. Attack speed is probably the best because you can clear faster, you can auto attack people in the face faster, and yeah, so the attack speed is just the best of these three. Coup de Grace. Deal more damage to low enemy champions. So I don't like the masteries where, okay, so let's see, deal low damage, deal more damage to your champions with more maximum health than you, deal more damage to champions while you are on low health. I don't like these type of masteries because I feel like they're kind of inconsistent, so they don't proc all the time, and you can't guarantee that you're always going to be in that stat as Shaco. So dealing more damage to low health champions, I mean, I guess you can always guarantee that they're going to be low because you're going to be one-shotting them anyways. I'm going to look at the percentage. Deal 10% more damage if they have less than 40% health. So I think this is decent. But I don't think it'll make, well, okay, 10% damage is a lot if they're low. So yeah, I guess Coup de Grace is pretty good. Cut down, deal more damage to champions with more maximum health than you. This feels like Last Whisper. I mean, I don't find this useful unless unless the enemy team has a lot of tanks and you're building full AD, but if you're full AD and you're versing tanks, and you're basically dead anyway, so cut down is kind of useless. As Shaco, because I can see this being very useful as an AD carry where you don't really have to worry about tanks doing damage to you. You don't have to worry about tanks doing damage to you because you have your allies to peel for you. Last stand, deal more damage to champions while you are low. Again, I don't like this because you can't guarantee yourself to be low all the time, and when you are low, you're probably just gonna be one shot by a mage as Shaco. If you're going Bruiser, I guess this would be semi-viable. But if you're going Bruiser, I think just Coup de Grace of these three would be the best. So Coup de Grace, I think is okay. Alacrity to gain permanent attack speed. I like the attack speed a lot, and I like the 15% health. So 15% health. I don't think that any of the main keystones are going to be that great on Shaco. If you're, I see this as a very viable secondary page because the Triumph and the Alacrity are really good on Shaco. Are just really good on Shaco, and the others are just meh. So we can do. I'll just show you that you can do it. You can't choose the main keystone because that would be broken. I can't wait. So you could choose those two right there, and you could choose one of these three, but I don't like them that much because you can't guarantee them to happen all the time, and it just feels really situational. For Domination, this is probably going to be the room page, that main room page that you're going to take for this slot here. But there's also a lot of options for Shaco here that I'd like to discuss. Electrocute, it's just like Thunderlords, but I think it does a lot more damage than the old Thunderlords. And Electrocute is, I think it's similar things count as stacks, and you can see my Electrocute video, but there's a lot of things that you wouldn't think that would add stacks to Electrocute that do. Yeah, which include Ignite and like item actives. However, your autos, they don't get 2 stacks like the old Thunderlords if you have like Triforce on and you auto them. So I like Electrocute a lot. It fits Shaco style perfectly. It's just like the old Thunderlords. Predator. Add an active to your boots that grant a large amount of movement speed and cause your next attack or ability to do bonus adaptive damage. So I tried this in game. The damage is nice. The movement speed is nice. But I feel like for the first thing you need to do is you need to be able to buy the boots to be able to activate this. And the cooldown is very long, so it's not even worth it. Also, I don't know if they changed this, but how it was back then was when you used Predator, it would reveal that you're coming for them. Like the enemies, if you activated Predator near your enemies, it would show it'd show a marker over the enemy. The enemy would see that marker above them, and they'd know that you're coming towards them. So it feels a lot like kind of like Rengar. I don't know if that's still now, but I need to test that. Dark Harvest. So this is essentially like a farming Nasus queue. You just keep getting stacks, and you gain bonus damage. The problem with this is after you get the stack, if you want to proc it, you have to, within your first 100 stacks, you need to be able to do it within 20 seconds or you're not going to get the bonus damage. After the 100 stacks, it's 200 seconds, but the problem is, if you can't get access to a stack of Dark Harvest or Soul, then you can't even do the extra damage that you could do. But again, if you're like super fan, you're getting kills, enemies drop stacks, and if you auto to kill an enemy, they drop a stack, you can auto another enemy, they drop a stack, and it's crazy if you're super fed, but if you're super behind, I feel like it'll fall off. You won't do that much damage. So of all these three, Dark Harvest is very useful just because of that repeated getting stacks and attacking. But then I feel like it's really situational. If you're not able to get the stacks, then you won't be able to use this mastery to the fullest. Electrocute, on the other hand, let's see, there's a cooldown on it at 50 seconds. Dark Harvest doesn't have a cooldown. It's restricted by souls, but you'll always be able to use Electrocute. Even if you're really behind, you'll still be able to do the extra damage. Predator, again, the cooldown is super long compared to Electrocute and Dark Harvest. So, for Shaco, I don't think Predator's ever going to be good on Shaco. So really, it's a choice between Electrocute or Dark Harvest. I'm gonna do a video on that soon because I still don't know because they're really close. Dark Harvest does a lot more damage late game, and cool trick is that if you're near a dying enemy camp and you're like in their jungle and you see a soul drop, you can see souls drop in the fog of war. And if you see a soul drop in the fog of war, that means the enemy's there. So the counter jungling potential is impressive. But again, Dark Harvest does a lot less damage compared to Electrocute early game. So at the same token that it gives you, Dark Harvest gives you extra vision early game, Electrocute will just give you more of the raw stats, and Electrocute's a lot more consistent. So right now I think I'm leaning towards Electrocute, but I'm leaning a lot more towards Electrocute. Not to mention that Dark Harvest, you need champions to actually get this going. If you don't have champion kills, you're not going to get a sufficient amount of stacks to be able to do the same amount of damage as Electrocute. But eventually, if you farm enough in the very late game, Dark Harvest will do more damage than Electrocute. Of these 3 runes, Sheep Shot. Okay, so what does Sheep Shot do? Deal bonus true damage to enemies with impaired movement speed. I think this is really good on Shaco if you're going like Bruiser tankish Shaco. Because Shaco has a built-in impaired movement ability, which is his passive E, which if you auto someone, you automatically slow them. So you're going to be proccing Cheap Shot if you're able to stay in the fight for a very long time, a lot. So it's going to be very useful if you're building Bruiser. Taste of Blood, heal when you damage an enemy champion. Again, healing is not that good on Shaco just because the whole point of assassins is that if you go in and you burst them, the healing that you would have done if you were low wouldn't be there because you're at full health, of course, when you're assassinating someone. And if they try coming back to you, the healing that this does would be insignificant. And just it wouldn't be useful because you'd most likely die anyways. And you wouldn't be able to output the same amount of damage you initially started with. Sudden Impact, gain a burst of lethality and magic penetration when using a dash, leap, blink, teleport. So this basically is used with Shaco's Q. If you use because you have the stealth and the dash, so I'm pretty sure you get sudden impact for both. But it doesn't stack, obviously. Sudden impact's really good for one-shot Shaco. And I think it's good for Shaco in general because the lethality and magic pen are just really good for that little bit of extra damage. So really, all these are Cheap Shot and Sudden Impact's really good. Taste of Blood, no, I don't like it. If you're going Cheap Shot, you're probably gonna build more Bruiserish. While if you're going Sudden Impact, you'd probably be going for more one shot. So of the next 3, so these 3 are related to vision. Yeah, even this one. Zombie ward. After killing a ward, a friendly ward is raised in its place. When your wards expire, they also reanimate into zombie wards. I see this is really useful, especially if you're buying Red Trinket in the late game. Zombie ward's probably going to be most useful in the late game where vision is important. And you have your Dust Blade to get vision, and you have your Red Sweeper. So zombie ward's going to be very useful in the late game. Ghost Portal, when you enter a bush, a portal appears, it'll stay behind and give you vision. Ghost Portal is just very useful in the early game because if you want to counter jungle, or even if you're trying to just defend your objectives, you just need to win the bush for a little while, and it's gonna put a portal which would give you vision of where the enemy is. Not of where the enemy is, but if it gives you vision of the bush you're standing in. Used to be standing in. So Ghost Portal is also really good. Eyeball Collection, collect eyes for champions and ward takedowns, gain permanent 80 or ability power. Adaptive. Each eyeball gained bonus upon collection complete. So this eyeball collection is really just for raw stats. If you don't, okay, I used to not collect wards or get the red trinket. So in that case, since you're not going to be making use of the other two, eyeball collection probably the best just for the raw stats. However, if you eyeball collection, even though it gives you the raw stats, I don't think it's good enough. If you are clearing wards, I'd say that zombie ward would probably be the best. Or if you're an early game monster, you probably want Ghost Poro. So for the simplest, I recommend for lower elo players just to get eyeball collection just for the extra 80, where people don't put down wards. But if you are putting down wards, you'd probably want to get zombie ward as Shaco, because the vision is important, and most of the time you're gonna replace your warring trinket into a red trinket sweeper. So of these three, Relentless Hunter, upon unique takedowns, grant permanent health healing from ability damage. So the only ability damage that Shaco has is E and R. I actually tested this, so it's actually kind of cool because Shaco's clones auto attacks, I'm pretty sure they trigger Relentless Hunter's healing. So in that regard, it would be pretty useful. So, but really, it only so again, it only procs on your E or R. You're not gonna be spamming your E to gain healing, but your R could be useful because when you auto attack with your R or the explosion or the mini boxes, it's gonna give you health. So in that regard, it's useful, but maybe it might. If you're not doing damage with those abilities, it's not gonna be that good. Overall, this is an okay mastery. Relentless Hunter, unique takedowns grant permanent active item CDR. I don't think this is that great, just because Shaco's items, they tends to be only one, or you normally don't have any active item CDR. The only exception would be Yomu's and Edge of Night. Those are the only two items that this would be useful for, but most of the time, the cooldowns of those items are just really short. So this I don't think that this would make much of a difference. Relentless Hunter, unique takedowns grant permanent out of combat movement speed. The movement speed, I can see it as being really good because it's just essentially a built-in Moby boots. For Bruiser Shaco, you probably want to get Relentless Hunter because your clone and your ability power is just, your E is just gonna be you're just gonna be spamming those abilities. You're gonna get the healing. If you're going more for a one-shot Shaco, you probably want to go Relentless Hunter just because it does a lot of damage. So yeah. So next main page, sorcery. Summon a weird monster. Your attacks and abilities send Ari. Is it Ari? Airy to a target, damaging enemies or shielding allies. Let me look at the damage this thing does, because it seems decent. So the main problem I have with this is that it's just gonna reveal your clone, which one's the real one and which one's you as Shaco. So unless you don't really use your clone, you probably take this. But then if you're AP Shaco, you probably are gonna use your clone. It'd just be very obvious which one's the real one. So be advised of this. I'd say this is decent because it gives you both 80. It scales off of 80 damage. So in that regard, it could be good, and it gives you a shield also, so makes you extra tanky. So it's okay. I wouldn't say it's great. Arcane Comet, damaging a champion with an ability hurls a comet to that location. So you have to use an ability to proc this Shaco. It's with your ult. Okay, so I remember something. Summon or thing. The problem with this is it doesn't give you any burst damage, and And you're not gonna proc it all the time. It's like you're gonna go into lane and you're gonna proc it, and it doesn't help with. Okay, actually take that back because Electrocute also doesn't help with clears. Arcane Comet, damaging ability with an ability power. Shaco's thing is the only thing that will proc this is Shaco's E and Shaco's clone, so it's not gonna be that good because you're only gonna be proc it a very small amount of the time. Phase Rush, someone who calls him Jesus Shaco keeps telling me that Phase Rush is really good. I played it a couple games and I don't like it that much, but I mean, I'll leave it up to you guys. I mean, the movement speed is definitely nice. You gain 75% slow resist, which is really good, and it's a lot easier to proc than the old Season 7 Storm Raiders, so this could be a very good mastery if you use it right. I find it kind of awkward with this rune because I can proc it, but I feel like I proc it too late. Like I'd proc it after I kill someone, and like yeah, I kill someone, but it would take me like 10 seconds to kill the person, and then afterwards it would proc, and then I'd have a free way to run. But then again, those 10 seconds of me trying to kill that person, I would have died if someone else was there. So I don't know. I'll leave it up to you guys. I think it could be really good. It's just I find it really inconsistent to proc. Even though it's the same thing as Electrocute, I don't know. It just feels really awkward. But of these three, I think it's probably this one that's gonna be the best because you could just run in the lane, auto them 3 times, and you can. If they try flashing, you have the phase rush to catch up with them. Or if you kill them and the enemy jungler's there, you can use this to run away. Alright, so nullifying orb. When you take magic resist, so essentially this is a Mal the Morius. You can probably stack this with Mal the Morius if you really wanted to, but honestly, this rune seems pretty good. If you have a lot of AD, it scales off of AD, so you can have a really big ass magic resist shield. Thing of Mal the Morius, wait, I don't know how the shield scales, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't scale off of bonus 80. So in this case, this orb could be better than the Mal the Morius. And if you're against a lot of AP mages, this would also be. You're supposed to use this against AP mages to kind of prevent their burst. Mana flow ban. Every 60 seconds, your next ability use. Shaco is not mana reliant, so this is actually useless. Ultimate hat. Your ultimate cooldown is reduced by 5% each time you cast an ultimate. So if you're forced to pick one of these, okay, so ultimate hat. It's okay, but the cooldown of Shaco's ult, I mean, it could be useful because it gives. I think it could max your Shaco ult go to 65%, which is really short. So this could be really good. I think this is really good. Could be really good if you spam your ult. So unless you're against many AP mages and you're forced to take something out of these three, if you're against a lot of AP mages, you should go for this one. But if you're not, and you're, in fact, actually, it's kind of interesting because if you're against a bunch of AD assassins, then it'd be obvious that you should get this because then you can, if they try bursting you down, you can just ult them, and if they try bursting you down again, it's gonna be up sooner, so you can use this more. Alright, so for the next tier. Transcendence. Gain 10% cooldown when you reach level 10. Each percent of excess CDR is converted to bonus adaptive bonus of 1.8 1.2 attack damage or 2 ability. 10% CDR is good. 10% CDR is good, but so I'd see this good for Bruiser Shaco, but I don't see this being that great for full AD Shaco because the CDR isn't going to be that useful. I mean, CR is always useful, but I see more of an impact on Bruiser Shaco, where you're going to be living longer so you can do your abilities faster with your CDR. 80 Shaco, you're going to just go in and out, so the 10% is not going to make a difference as much as if you're a Bruiser Shaco. This one gain 4% movement speed and add 8% of your bonus movement speed to AP or 80. So in theory, this sounds really good because it gives you the more movement speed you have, the more AD you have. But the thing is, with the math it has right now, in game it doesn't grant you that much. The max it's gonna grant you is like 50 AD for 1,000 movement speed. So it's not gonna be good. This works really well with Moby boots, and with all those, it stacks with Yomu's. But the 80 this gives you isn't that great. It's not a lot. So it's meh. Absolute focus. While above 70% health, gain an adaptive bonus of up to 24 attack damage or 25 ability power. So this is really good because when you start your clears, you're going to be mostly full health and you're going to have an additional 24 attack damage. So that is really strong. At level 1, you have an additional 24 attack damage clearing. So this seems really good now. Yeah. And as Assassin Shaco, this looks really good for full AD Shaco, one-shot Shaco. It's not so good for Bruiser Shaco because you're going to be in fights for a long time, and most of the time you're probably going to be below 75% health. If you're going one shot, you probably are going to use this. So, if you're going for one shot, you take this rune. If you're going for a Bruiser, you probably want to take Transition. Really quick. Scorch. Your next ability hit sets champions on fire, dealing 30 to 60 bonus magic damage based on level after 1 second. Just the pure damage for doing an ability, which is your E, is really good. The cooldown is so long that this could be actually useful on Shaco because the cooldown for your E is going to be a lot shorter than this. So you can realistically, you're going to proc this only once in a fight, which is 100% fine. And most of the time in a fight, you're going to use your E once. So, even though this is limited to your ability, just the extra damage it gives is good. So, for one-shot Shaco, for just the extra raw damage, you probably want to go for this. Walking Water, gain movement speed based 25 movement speed and adaptive bonus of up to 18 attack damage or 30 ability power based on level when in river. This is really good. I think this is more of a mid laner a mastery because when you roam, you're going to be in the water mostly. This could be good for when you're invading as Shaco because you want the extra ability. If you want to contest something on the river scuttle, then this could also be good. May you be as swift as the rushing river and as agile as... Okay, never mind. I thought that was like if you're using the movement speed of the rift scuttle, then it also procs, but I guess not. Gathering Storm. This is for... I think it's okay, but most of the games... You don't want games to last more than 30 minutes as Shaco because even though you technically don't get outscaled, any other champion will do a lot better than you with their full build compared to you with your full build. So this isn't that great. If you're going Bruiser though, before I was talking about one-shot Shaco, if you're going Bruiser, this is probably what you want to go because just the bonus AD damage is good for the scaling. It's good for the scaling. So Scorch is for one shot. If you're really down to invading, maybe Water Walking, but I think Scorch would just be better for invading than this. Gathering Storm is more for just Bruiser, but again, it's kind of meh because even for your full game, late game, any other champion's late game is gonna be better. Alright, so the next. Alright, wait. So this could be a very good main page, and also is a very good secondary because if it could be because Nullifying Orb is really good, like for secondary if you want to go against the enemy AP enemy burst comp. And Absolute Focus is also really good. But if you don't want to go, okay, so I think but if they don't have AP, you probably want to go Absolute Focus or Absolute Focus and Scorch. Yeah. Alright, so like this. You either want this if they have a lot of AP. If they have a lot of your enemy has a lot of AP, or if they have a lot of 80 assassins, you probably want to go for this. But if they just plain out have a lot of straight squishy players, you probably just want to go for the Scorch, just for the extra damage when you use your E. So essentially, Shaco's E will do a bonus 30 damage when you E. So instead of those shitty 55 at level 1, it will do 85 at level 1. But again, yeah, whatever. Alright, so for Resolve, it's tank Rune page. If we were to put this as our main, honestly, I don't think I need to go over this because it's kind of obvious that it's not going to be that great on Shaco, but I'll do it anyways. Grasp of the Undying. Every 4th second of your next ability attack on the champion will deal bonus magic damage equal to 4% of your max. Now let me turn on this. I don't want to read all the numbers. Every 4% your next attack on an enemy deal bonus magic damage, heals you, permanently increase your health. Okay, that seems a little broken. The permanent health, I see this is super broken on like health heavy built-in stats champions like Mundo, where like just any health is good. So an infinite amount of health is OP on like a tank champion. Shaco on the other hand, unless you're like really trolling, you plan going full 80, full tank with this shit on, then it's not that great. It's not that great. Alright, so Aftershock. After immobilizing an enemy, after gain defenses and later deal a burst of adaptive damage around you. How much damage does the... So this scales off of maximum health. Aftershock. So even if you're building full tank, it doesn't make sense to go this. Okay, well, if you are building full tank, you probably want to go Aftershock opposed to like Electrocute because they'll do more damage. But unless you're building at least some 80, Aftershock is going to do a lot less damage than any of the main keystones in the Domination tree. So Aftershock isn't that great. Guardian enemy. Okay, so I don't really want to test this because I don't even think this is viable, but I'm pretty sure that Shaco can. Oh wait, no, Shaco can't even cast this on his clone. But if someone else has Guardian, they can cast it on Shaco's clone. So this is actually useless on Shaco. So next, Unflinch. After casting a summoner spell, gain Tenacity and Slurvis for a short duration. So additionally, gain Tenacity for each. What? So you gain Tenacity for using a summoner, and you gain more Tenacity for having each summoner on cooldown. But that seems a little broken. Well, I mean, if you have Smite on, you can cast Smite, and you basically have Tenacity and Slow Resist. Oh wait, that seems kind of strong actually. So I mean, maybe this is good on Shaco because Smite counts as a summoner spell, and you can basically proc this all the time. And your Ignite also as Shaco is always going to be on cooldown, and you're gonna have so max this can grant you. So if you recently used Smite and Ignite, I don't know if it stacks or not, but let's say it did. It just by using Smite and Ignite at the same time, you would gain 30% Tenacity and Slow Resist for 10 seconds after casting Summer Spell, and because they're on cooldown, it's gonna give you an additional 20% because you both use 2 summoner spells. Additional 20% Tenacity and Slow Resist. So in total, it can max give you 50 Tenacity and Slow Resist. Wait, that seems kind of broken. What the heck? Okay, whatever. So this might be good for a secondary rune page. Now I'm thinking about it. I haven't really read this one because I always thought it would be completely useless, but maybe it isn't. Demolish, charged. So this scales, so basically it does bonus damage against a tower. So it scales, damage scales off of your max health. So, I don't think it's that great because unless you're going full tanko, then you're not going to do a lot of demolish damage. Font on life. Impairing the movements of a champion, mark them for 4 seconds. So as Shaco, you're definitely going to be able to proc this because your autos will automatically proc it. Allow champion to attack more enemies, heal for 5+1. So this scales off your max health. So unless you're building Tanko, again, this is going to be absolutely useless. Rough skin, gain 5 armor. Healing effects from consumables heal for at least 20 health, and shields increase your armor by 5% for 3 seconds. So just the 5 armor could be really good in the early game, but I feel like the secondary part of this effect is kind of wasted because the only healing that you're gonna get is from It's from your potions. And you never have a shield, so you're never gonna get the armor increase. And since you don't have a lot of armor, unless you're going Tanko again, because this would be a different talk of this tank. Unless you're going Tanko, this is pretty bad because most of the time at Shaco you don't have a lot of armor. However, if you're counter building them, you are building armor. This might be good, but it feels very situational. So this is basically the magic resist version of Rough Skin. Yeah. This could be really good. Okay, so it's basically the same talk. It's situational. If your enemy has a lot of AP mages, then this could be really good. Because then you gain a lot of magic resist. Conditioning. After 10 minutes, gain 8 armor and 8 magic resist. Increase your armor and magic resist by 5%. So you have to wait 10 minutes, but compared to the other two that give you only 5 armor or 5 magic resist, gives you both 8 armor and 8 magic resist. If you truly want Shaco to be an early game champion, you probably want to get these two. So like for the invading and like just beating everyone from your raw stats. But okay, now I think about it, the 8 armor and 8 magic resist after the 10 minutes would be kind of useless if you're building one-shot Shaco because you're not really gonna need that extra armor. And also, if you are building one-shot Shaco, you're probably taking this as a secondary page. The 8 armor and the 8 magic resist after the 10 minutes isn't going to be that useful. But if you're going Bruiser Shaco, this could be definitely good. It could definitely be good. But again, this is probably mid game, while these two are early game. So unless you know you're gonna have a good early game or a shitty early game, you probably want to get conditioning. Alright, so for the last tier, Overgrowth, permanently gain maximum health for every 8 monsters or minions that die near you. I see this more as a support item because and as a laner, because you're not gonna as a Shaco in the jungle, you're not gonna be able to use this maxim. You're not gonna be able to use this mastery to its fullest if you're not in a lane. So it's not that useful. Healing and shields are 5% strong, or 5% stronger, and increased by an additional 10% on targets below 40% health. So seems so no, it's actually garbage, because the healing and shields are, you don't get any healing or shields, or they're basically useless on you. Second win. After taking damage from an enemy champion, heal for 5% of your missing health. Plus 6. Wait. 4 heal. Okay, so what it looks like is you initially, after you take damage from a champion, you heal 4% of your missing health, and then after the 4% health, you increase you heal up to 10% missing health over 10 seconds. So it's basically 4% to 10% over 10 seconds. So this main page, this doesn't seem very good to be put in this slot. It seems a lot better to be put into the secondary, because Unflinch seems okay. It seems a little kind of viable, but it doesn't seem that great. And again, I don't like any of these bottom ones. These are just really situational, depending on the enemy comp. If they have a lot of AD, and you know it's going to be very early game, or if you're counter jungling them, you probably want to get this just for the good clears and countering them. Mirror shall gain. Yeah, okay, so I already explained this array, so yeah. So depending on your enemy comp, you pick one of these. My brother's laughing in the background.
It's just that
Unsealed spellbook, gain spell shards after 2 minutes, and so honestly, I'm not a fan of using inspiration as the main page, because all these are kind of meh. I don't like the idea that I'm replacing one of my spells. Like, yeah, but it kind of seems like a waste of a keystone. Glacier augmentation, basic attack, slow them. So Shaker already has the built-in basic attack slow, so this is kind of useless on him. Kelp to see. After using an ability, your next attack grants bonus skull. So this is pretty useless on Shaco, because okay, I mean, this also seems like a waste to put on your main. This is more of a support as your main rune page. Alright, so all these I'm gonna explain the lower tiers. Hextech, Flash, Traption. So this seems really useless because Shaco doesn't put Flash. If you were to put Flash on Shaco, this could be useful for invading. But wait a second. I need to test that out, but maybe Shaco can Q and then and at the same time Hex Flash somewhere. So in the Q, you're holding the Hex Flash, And so you can Q somewhere and then you can flash somewhere else with your Hex Flash. And that would be really cool. I don't know if that actually works, so need to test that out. Biscuit Delivery. Shaco doesn't need the sustain, so extra biscuits are useless. Perfect timing. Start the game with a stopwatch. So you probably only want to get this if you're going to get GA. If you're not going to get GA, this is actually useless. Yep, and this also gives you a free 600 gold, so in that regard, it seems pretty good. So of all these three, I think just probably just get that if you're gonna make this your main page. But again, I think all three of these are useless, so you're probably not gonna make this your main page. Probably make it a secondary. So if this was a secondary, you'd probably pick this one of these three. I don't know about the other two categories. Magical footwear, you get free slightly magical boots at 10 minutes, but you cannot buy boots before then. For each takedown you acquire 30 seconds. So boots cost only 50. They only cost 50 let's see. 300 gold. So compared to the GA thing, the boots don't give you that gold value. However, you don't have to back. Okay, I mean, you don't have to back for the GA either, but this gives you additional 10% movement speed. So if you're so focused in the game, you actually don't need to worry about buying boots, because the boots are just a pain in the rear, but they're really important to buy in the early game. So this seems really good. And just getting the takedown seem also very useful for reducing the time where you get the boots. Futures market, you enter debt. I don't like futures market. I don't like the mechanic that's behind it, that you can go in debt. It just seems very inconsistent, and even though you can borrow things to get slightly ahead and to get your power spike items, I don't trust that I'm actually getting a good deal. Like, the lending fee is 50 gold, so you're losing 50 gold every time, while instead you could have just farmed another minion to get there. So instead of just waiting at going to one of your laners and taking a minion, you can use this. So this is basically just a minion, or okay, whatever, how much debt you have. So I don't see this that useful. I mean, it could be useful. A lot of potential. I think it has a lot of potential, but it's not that great. I don't like it. I don't like using it. Main dematerializer. I mean, I feel like this is just more of a support item. It's not that great on Shaco, because essentially you're just taxing the enemy lane, your laners, if you're using it. And there's a long-ass cooldown on it to use each one. I mean, it would help you with clears, but not clears, clearing the enemy waves. But I don't see this being as much of an impact than getting boots. So of these three, I'm a little iffy. I definitely know minion dematerializer, or maybe futures market, but I think boots are just more important. So for the last tier of this page, Cosmic Insight gives you 5%, a lot of 5% CDR. It seems fine. It is okay to get, but Shaco, really, I don't think he really needs the CDR. Like, it's not that useful. No, I'm trying to get a long ass recording down. Okay, and I'm gonna cut it later. Do you think it's scripted? We are approaching velocity gain 10% movement speed toward nearby allied champions that are movement impaired, or enemy champions that you impair. So this is really good on Shaco, because you're always gonna proc. Since you have a built-in impairment, you're always gonna proc this onto your enemy. So you basically have a permanent 10% movement speed when you're attacking an enemy. Or if you're ganking and you have an ally Xerath who stuns the enemy, champion, and you gain you have 10% movement speed to queue into there, and Celestial Body plus 100 health permanently. It's not that useful. Minus 10% damage to champions and monsters until 10% 10 minutes. So I see this is not really a Shaco mastery. It's more of a tank support mastery, where as a tank support you only need the CC to be useful. So these three would probably be this one. So of these three these three are really good. I mean, if you don't get GA, it'd be an easy winner between these two. If you want the extra CD, this is also very good for, like, again, Bruiser Shaco. This would be Bruiser Shaker. Unfortunately, you can't choose both this and this because they're on the same tier. So either these. So if you're gonna make this a secondary, because you're definitely not gonna make it a primary. You probably either want these two just for the. It's just very useful. Or you either want this, or you can either get that. I find actually the GA, using the stopwatch and ganking is really useful because you're able to reset the tower aggro because you're in stasis effect. So, there's a lot more potential with the stopwatch. But unless you don't plan on doing that or you don't plan buying the GA, just get this. Get approaching velocity. So I think I've done explained all the runes. I don't know how well I explained it. You guys stayed this long. I'm proud of you because I know how monotone my whatever. I'm not gonna say anything about that. Alright, so I'm gonna go over the my favorite rune pages. Okay, so far. So right now, I think for one-shotting people, the best rune page would be. Wait, let me just think. So, Eyeball Collection or Zombie Ward. Probably just that would be better. Then for the secondary, you want Sorcery just for the raw extra damage. So for one-shotting, this is the rune page you probably want to go because Dark Harvest. It's just so. Wait, nah. Okay, well, you can either choose Dark Harvest or Electrocute. They'll do about the same damage mid game. They're both really snowbally because Electrocute does a lot of damage early game, while Dark Harvest does a lot of damage late game. So it's really up to you. I'm gonna do a video comparing these two in detail because I still don't know which one I like better. I need to play more practice games, or not practice games, but more games around my elo to tell which one's better. So yeah, so this for one-shotting because all of these contribute to your one-shot capabilities. Your sorcery is really important here because it just gives you the raw extra damage. Just the pure extra damage just to one-shot everyone. Wow, and this gives you the penetration, zombie ward, which is really good for scouting out the enemies and movement speed to coming to where you see them. So for one-shotting, you probably want to take this rune page, but you can choose between Dark Harvest or Electrocute, and you can also choose between Zombie Ward or Eyeball Collection because Eyeball Collection will just give you the raw stats, and if you don't ward or your enemy doesn't ward, so and which would make Zombie Ward useless, then you probably just want to go for the raw stats. But in higher elo, definitely you probably want to get Zombie Ward because just the vision is OP. Vision is OP. Yep. Also, if the great thing about sorcery is it's super situational. It has a lot of viability against many comps. So if you're against AP mages, you can just switch. Since Scorch only does additional 30 to 60 damage, you can just switch it to Nullifying Orb. nullifying orb so that you won't take as much AP damage. Or if you're, yeah, if you're, I guess you wouldn't really take ultimate hat, just extra damage if you're against a lot of AD burst champions. I said that probably want to get ultimate hat, but if you're able to assassinate them before you can assassinate, if you're able to kill them before they kill you, then probably want to just get Scorch. So this would be my one-shot Shaco. Alright, now I'm gonna do Bruiser Shaco now. For movement speed Shaco, you probably want to take this. This is more of a trolley lowly build. Phase rush for you're able to go in, auto attack 3 times, and get out really fast. Ultimate hat just so that you can repeatedly go in with your ult and consistently get out. I mean, also you could still, if you're against AP mages, probably just be better to go orb, but ultimate hat is the way they go. Absolute focus, most of the time when you go in, you're going to be above 70% health. And even if you're below 70% health, if they do damage to you, which makes you below 70% health, most of the damage that you need will be on the initial attack where you're at 100% health. So this will always be useful. Scorch, this is again just raw numbers, extra damage. So for secondary, you can choose magical footwear, which will give you more movement speed, 10 movement speed extra, which would help you get into lanes faster, and approaching velocity where you can auto them, and if they try speed boosting, you'll have a little extra movement speed than them, and you can keep autoing them to death. So this is my movement speed Shaco rune page. Alright, now I'm gonna go the Bruiser Shaco. So this is very similar to Shaclone's. I don't know if it's exactly the same, but it's very similar to Shaclone's Shaco. Thing with Electrocute versus Dark Harvest, Electrocute will not reveal which one's the real Shaco, while Dark Harvest, it'll be pretty obvious which Shaco is the real one compared to the clone, because the Shaco will pick up the soul while the clone will not pick up the soul, so that's an easy teller. Cheap shot, damaging, so most of the time we're going to be able to proc cheap shot multiple times if you're a bruiser, so this would be really good. And it's true damage, so that's also really good. Ghost Portal is for the early invading, as yeah, it's for the early invade. Actually, I mean, you could choose any of these depending on what style you want to go. So this is early game. And this is a mid to late game. Eyeball Collection is enemy doesn't ward. So you have to choose between those. Ravenous Hunter, your clone procs Ravenous Hunter, so you gain health when your clone attacks. So this is really good in that case. Trump, will give you a little bit more sustain on assist is. And the attack speed is just really useful for a Bruiser Shaco because most of the time you're just autoing people to death. So now I'm going to discuss secondary. So most of the time you probably want your main to be keystone to be Domination, but I'm going to pick another root page not to mess up this one. Alright, so let me just pick some random ones here. Alright, so for secondaries, I think I explained this already, but just in case you didn't hear or you just skipped over it, of these things, probably the most useful for Shake would be Triumph and attack speed. Triumph and attack speed. All these other things are meh, and probably these two are probably the best. this one's pretty clear on the precision tree. For sorcery tree, you have a lot more options here. You can go any of these, either nullifying orb or nullifying orb if the enemy has a lot of AP casters that you want to counter. This could be useful, but most of the time you don't have that movement speed to make it significant enough to do a lot of damage. Absolute focus, you probably want to take if you're going one-shot Shaco, but if you're not, you either want to probably get just the 10% CDR. And okay, so if they don't have a lot of AP mages, you probably just go ultimate hat so that you have so much CDR on your ultimate. And these three, if you're going Bruiser Shaco, it's not that great. But if you're going 80 Shaco, you probably want to get Sorcery and Absolute Focus because these are just the raw damage dealers. But if you're going, you want some CD, these two are the ones you want to go with. Gathering Storm could be good, but I think the problem is that Shaco scales off. I mean, he doesn't scale off as hard as he used to, but if you're both full build, the enemy will do better than you as versus a Shaco. So these two. Why did I save it? So resolution. A lot of these, I don't like any of these. You probably want to get Unflinching because when you cast Smite, you proc it and you gain Tenacity. The only reason you'd probably choose the Resolve tree is because you were going Bruiser Shaco. But again, I think these are suboptimal compared to the other sub trees you can get. These bottom three are useless, and you'd probably take Iron Skin if you want to go for the invade. You probably take Mirror Shell if the enemy has a lot of AP. But if you know that you're not going to need any of those early game stats, and you can just go conditioning. For inspiration, you have a lot of choices here for secondary. Perfect timing is good. Magic footwear is good. I'm not sure with market. It seems like a scam to me. Approaching velocity is good, and cosmic insight's good, but I prefer approaching velocity just for the movement speed that you will basically always proc, and you have a permanent bonus movement speed on the enemy. So yeah. So whatever. Oh my god, that was so much work.